Of course, he had to show up now. Of course, he had to ruin the one moment where I felt like I was finally on top. "Honey, you didn't tell me you were done with your meeting." Mom's tone softened, a hint of relief washing over her. "It wasn't finished. It was cut short. Thanks to Savannah," Dad replied, his voice taut, each word laced with barely contained frustration. With a heavy heart, I slowly turned to face him, my pulse racing as if it were trying to escape my chest. There he stood at the foot of the stairs, dressed impeccably in his crisp New Hope Golf Club polo and neatly pressed khaki shorts. His hair had turned a bit more silver, and the lines on his face were deeper, but his expression remained inscrutable. The same tight-lipped demeanor that had once barked my name like it was a curse. Chloe crossed her arms, a smug satisfaction radiating from her as she tapped her foot impatiently, clearly relishing this moment. Her expression screamed it all. "Get her, Dad." "Hi, Dad," I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. "Savannah," he acknowledged with a curt nod, his gaze piercing. I instinctively grabbed Roman's elbow, using him as a human shield, and stepped forward, my heart pounding in my ears. "Roman, this is my dad, Julius Hart. Dad, this is Roman, my fiancé." Roman extended his hand confidently. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, sir." Dad regarded Roman with a proud, almost satisfied nod, as if he had just passed some unspoken test before shaking his hand firmly. I was worried when Chloe mentioned Savannah was bringing home a husband. "Now I'm worried that Savannah's the one you're bringing home to your people," Dad remarked, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my stomach drop. My gaze shot up to meet his, surprise and indignation flaring within me. Chloe threw her head back and laughed, the sound ringing hollow in the tense atmosphere. Dean let out a hearty laugh, the sound reverberating through the air like a playful challenge. For a brief moment, I noticed Roman's jaw tighten, a flicker of tension crossing his face, yet his voice remained as smooth and sweet as honey. "Savannah's a wonderful woman, sir. I feel like the lucky one here," he declared, his eyes glinting with sincerity. "If only that were true," Dad grumbled, his tone dripping with skepticism. "Unfortunately, I've witnessed the devastation she leaves in her wake for almost 30 years. Convincing me otherwise is nearly impossible." My jaw tightened, the muscles straining as frustration coursed through me, a vein pulsing ominously at my temple. "Savannah's a wonderful woman, sir," Roman reiterated, this time with a smile that barely concealed his simmering anger. "But don't worry, I can handle a little fire." "Good luck with that. Hope you packed an extinguisher," Dean shot back, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. In a moment of rebellion, I discreetly flipped him the bird, my heart racing with indignation. "Ah, I take it you had a dozen of those and still ditched at the first sight of the smoke," Roman replied, a teasing lilt in his voice. Dean attempted to mimic Roman's confident stance, and I couldn't help but stifle a laugh. It was amusing, really, watching him try to assert himself. "Yes, because only a wise man knows to run at the first whiff of smoke. The fool waits for the flames to engulf him," Dean retorted, a self-satisfied grin spreading across his face. A moment of silence hung in the air, thick with anticipation. It felt as if we were all collectively holding our breath, waiting for the next move. Alyssa paused mid-bite, her mimosa hovering in front of her, while Chloe's gaze was glued to Roman, curiosity and concern mingling in her eyes. Mom looked like she was silently pleading for divine intervention to help us survive this day. Aunt Janice leaned in to whisper to Aunt Thelma, who was secretly filming the entire spectacle, her eyes wide with excitement. Roman stepped forward, closing the distance between himself and Dean. The confusion on Roman's face morphed into something akin to pity as he regarded Dean, their eyes locked in an unyielding stare. "You're not scary or tough, not even remotely. You're just a nervous little man seeking attention," Roman stated flatly, as if he were unveiling the truth of Dean's existence. A gasp echoed through the room. It was likely Aunt Carol, her shock palpable. Dad's expression remained neutral, neither smiling nor frowning. He simply observed, his gaze keen and unyielding. "Where's our bedroom, Sav? My neck hurts from looking down at this guy," Roman said, tilting his head toward Dean with a hint of mockery. Alyssa nearly toppled off the arm of the couch, laughter bubbling out of her. "Oh my God, Savannah, where did you find him? Give me the deets." "Can you shut up?" I shot back, my voice laced with irritation. Chloe's cheeks flushed a deep crimson, as if she were caught in a scandal. She blinked at the gift box on the floor as though it had personally insulted her beliefs, her morals, and her dreams of a perfect wedding. Then, with a glare that could pierce through steel, she directed her fury at Roman, her eyes blazing with unspoken words. I was already leading Roman up the seemingly endless flight of stairs, heading toward my old bedroom, a blend of nostalgia and anxiety swirling within me. Mom cleared her throat, breaking the tension that hung in the air. Your bedroom is right up the stairs. The third door on the left," she announced, her voice steady but slightly unsure. I paused, a sense of foreboding washing over me. No, that's not my bedroom. That's Chloe's bedroom. Mine is down the hall, the first door on the right," I countered, already sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Mom exchanged a glance with Chloe, her expression unreadable. "Chloe's staying in your room. It's much bigger, and she needs all the space she can get for the wedding," she explained, her words dripping with an unsettling finality. "What?" I blurted out, disbelief flooding my voice. Mom quickly attempted damage control. "But it's not permanent, sweetie. After the wedding, Chloe's going to move back into her room." "So why didn't anyone mention it?" I demanded, frustration bubbling over. Chloe shrugged, her indifference infuriating me further. "It's a bedroom. Don't make a drama out of this, too." "Savannah, if it's not up to your taste, then pick one from the spare rooms," Dad suggested, his tone oddly casual. "Why didn't Chloe pick from those?" I shot back, my irritation boiling over. "Like hell I'm staying in a guest bedroom in my own home," she scoffed, her arrogance palpable. "Of course. Savannah deserves to sleep in the spare room, while Chloe gets to claim my bed as if it were her right." In a fit of frustration, I slammed my hand against the wall, the crack echoing through the room like the shattering of my composure. "You did this intentionally, Chloe. This isn't even about the bedroom. You've always had your eyes on everything that's mine." "Are we still on about the room, Sav?" Chloe quipped, a teasing smirk playing on her lips. The air thickened with an unspoken tension, as if everyone present was tiptoeing around the fragile ego of the star child. Silence reigned, an uncomfortable blanket draped over the room. Dad cleared his throat, a sound that echoed with authority. "Savannah, adjusting a few details for your younger sister's event should not dredge up old memories that haunt us." Alyssa chimed in, her voice surprisingly earnest. "You can take mine if you want." Roman stepped forward, his hand finding mine, anchoring me in the moment. "Now we have even more reasons to cuddle, love," he joked, a playful glint in his eyes. His light-hearted comment popped the tension like a needle piercing an inflated balloon, leaving behind a sense of relief. Dad mentioned something about Roman being unexpectedly decent, a sentiment tinged with disbelief. "Don't get mad, Sav," Chloe added, her tone dripping with feigned sweetness. "You know how the floor gets hostile when you're angry. Dean and I promise not to break your bed." That jab hit hard, a reminder of all the times she had turned my vertigo into her punchline. With Chloe, nothing was sacred, especially not pain. But I wasn't about to let her win this round, not after flying all the way from Philly. So I flashed a smile, one that masked my inner turmoil. Then, on a sudden impulse, I rose on my toes and pressed my lips against Roman's. It wasn't premeditated, but it certainly was a performance for the ages. His lips were soft, so incredibly soft and warm. It felt like the first gentle caress of sunlight after a long, frigid winter. Get a grip, Savannah. I shifted my weight, heart racing like a wild stallion. Let's make Mom and Dad grandparents, I blurted, my voice a mix of excitement and dread. You, Chloe recoiled, her face a picture of exaggerated disgust. You've gotta be kidding me, Dean muttered under his breath, disbelief etched across his features. Roman wore a grin that could light up the darkest corners of the room. Ready whenever you are, love, he said, his confidence infectious. Dinner's in an hour, Mom interjected, her voice slightly strained as she wrapped a protective arm around Emily. I think we've all had our fill of gift-giving and tension for now. Without a second thought, I grabbed Roman's hand, and we dashed up the stairs like mischievous children escaping the confines of detention. Flora, you prayed for it, Aunt Janice cackled behind us. Mom's voice trailed off, a distant reminder of her admonition about waiting until the wedding. I slammed the bedroom door shut, letting out a breath I didn't realize I was holding as I leaned against it, the weight of the world momentarily lifted. You okay, Sav? Roman asked, sprawled casually on the bed, his presence grounding me. No, I want to murder my entire family. Twice. This is me being honest, I replied, the frustration bubbling to the surface. Roman flopped onto Chloe's bed as if he owned the place, one foot still firmly planted on the ground, his arm tucked behind his head in that effortlessly cool way he had. You okay, Sav? He repeated, concern lacing his voice. I tore my gaze away from him, taking in the familiar chaos of Chloe's room. The air was thick with the scent of her lavender hair mist and an overwhelming superiority complex that seemed to cling to every surface. I perched myself on the edge of the bed beside him, feeling a strange comfort in his presence. Roman leaned closer, his warmth radiating against my skin. That went well, he remarked, a hint of sarcasm in his tone. I shot him a look that could melt steel. Don't be smug. I'm one comment away from going full carry at prom. He reached for my hand, intertwining our fingers on the bed. I'll be your alibi, and if things go south, I'll bail you out, he promised, his voice laced with sincerity. A genuine smile broke across my face. Thank you for agreeing to do this with me. His green eyes sparkled with mischief, a playful glint that made my heart flutter. I'm having fun, love. I reclined back, staring up at the ceiling, thoughts swirling like leaves caught in a whirlwind. You're weird, I said, half joking. He tilted his head, a smirk dancing on his lips. You know they all think we're up to something in here, right? Probably placing bets downstairs. I shot a glare at the door as if it had betrayed me personally. Screw them, except Alyssa. Roman rolled onto his side, narrowing his eyes in mock offense. You could have given me a heads up back there. I almost laughed in your face when you kissed me. There was no time, I retorted. It was either that or stab Chloe with her own cheekbone. Next time, he said, inching closer, we should practice. I barely had the chance to raise an eyebrow before he pinned me down on the bed, straddling me with a grin that promised mischief. With one hand, he held my wrists above my head, while the other slid slowly down my waist, igniting a fire within me. Roman, my breath hitched, caught in the web of anticipation. Hi, he leaned down, his voice dropping to a sultry whisper. Hi, I whispered back, my heart racing. His mouth brushed against mine, a teasing caress that sent shivers down my spine. Then, he kissed me like he had something to prove. His lips crashed against mine with a fervor that left no room for hesitation, no scripts to follow, just raw, unfiltered heat. We battled for dominance, and in the midst of it all, I bit his bottom lip. He groaned, deepening the kiss, his tongue exploring mine as if trying to uncover every secret I had ever kept. This is fake. This is fake. I chanted silently in my mind. But why did it feel so unbelievably good?